What's up, everybody? It's me, Anthony, and it's the time of the week again. It's Anthony's NFL Picks. Week 3. I cannot believe we're just about to enter the third week of the NFL. It is by far, this season is already going fast, and I don't know why, but it just is. But I'm excited. However, this weekend, I did not do that great of a job. My record, I went 5-11 this weekend, which I did not do pretty good. There were a lot of upsets and a lot of injuries that happened during this weekend. And also, my record now in total is 17-15, which is pretty much not that great, but I'm over 500. So before we get started, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bells to get updated on the newest content. Anyway, it is time to start with our games. And kicking it off for Thursday Night Football, we got an AFC East matchup between the 1-1 Patriots and the 1-1 Jets. Patriots are here after losing to Seattle in overtime at home. They are playing very good. Gerard Mayo is a great coach. They lost to Seattle. Very close game. And you know what? The Patriots may be a good team. Jacoby Brissett's doing a better job. I'm looking forward to see it. However, they're in MetLife against the Jets, who beat the Titans 24-17. Aaron Rodgers' first full game as a Jet. And to be honest, I think the Jets are going to take this win. It's going to be a close game, though, because the Patriots are playing very well. But I think New England could win next week. I don't know who they play next week, but we'll get to that later. But I'm thinking the Jets are going to pull off this win and beat New England. Jets will beat the Patriots 27-24. The Jets will be 2-1. The Patriots will be 1-2. We move on with the next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 0-2 Giants and the 1-1 Browns. The Giants are here after losing to my Washington Commanders. Ha ha! Anyway, they're going to Cleveland against the 1-1 Browns, who beat the Jaguars despite them, not having Nick Chubb. They got Kadarius Toney last week. I think I mentioned that. But anyway, the Browns, they somehow got that weird win over Jacksonville because the Jaguars were banged up with injuries, and Jacksonville's been really struggling lately. But to be honest, I think that the Browns could pull off a win here because it's in Cleveland, and the Giants are here because they suck. They're not that great, the Giants. They lost to my Commanders, even though the Commanders only scored 7 field goals. But we'll get to them later. But I'm thinking Cleveland's going to take this win over the Giants. Browns will beat the Giants 26-19. The Browns will be 2-1. The Giants will be 0-3. We'll move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 1-1 Eagles and the 2-0 Saints. The Eagles are here after losing that game yesterday against the Falcons, 22-21. Jalen Hurts looked really bad without A.J. Brown. That's why they kind of lost. A.J. Brown was hurt with that injury, which they couldn't play. But however, they're going against the 2-0 Saints somehow, who completely destroyed the Cowboys at home, 44-19. The Saints look like a better team, and I'm thinking that Dennis Allen will keep his job this season if he continues the good work. But to be honest, I'm thinking they're going to probably beat the Eagles because A.J. Brown could be missing a couple of weeks, so that's a huge letdown for the Eagle fans, and that's good for me because somehow my Commanders are in first place now. But to be honest, I think the Saints are going to win this game. Saints will beat the Eagles 25-17. The Saints will be 3-0 somehow, and the Eagles will drop to be 1-2. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the battle of the undefeated, the 2-0 Texans and the somehow 2-0 Vikings. Texans are here after winning Sunday night at home against the Bears 19-13. They're looking really good. However, Joe Mixon could be missing some games as well because he has suffered an ankle injury, which could be bad. However, they're taking on the somehow shockingly 2-0 Vikings without J.J. McCarthy, who actually upset the 49ers because Christian McCaffrey is hurt. The Vikings are doing an amazing job, despite, them losing J.J. McCarthy, Kyrie Jackson getting in that car accident, passing away. The Vikings are wished. However, it's going to be a close game, though, but Justin Jefferson is hurt, however, with a bad leg injury he suffered in the 49ers game. And Jordan Addison is finally recovering after that ankle injury, so he's going to be back. But to be honest, I'm thinking Houston will beat Minnesota, but it will be a very close game. Texans will beat the Vikings 30-28. The Texans will be 3-0. The Vikings will be 2-1. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 0-2 Broncos and the undefeated 2-0 Buccaneers. Broncos are here after losing to the Steelers 13-6. Bo Nix looks like a bust. I thought he was going to be good, though, but I know it's already in 2 games, though. I shouldn't be saying anything like that. But the Broncos had leads, but they just can't continue to keep the lead. However, they're going to Tampa Bay against the Buccaneers, who beat the Lions 20-16. Tampa Bay is looking really well, and I think they could beat Denver, I think. because the Buccaneers have a lot of good weapons around them and they're healthy. So I think they could win this game. Buccaneers will beat the Broncos 34-14. The Buccaneers will be 3-0. Broncos will be 0-3. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 1-1 Packers and the 0-2 Titans. The Packers are here after winning without Jordan Love somehow at home against the Colts 16-10. Jordan Love may be coming back this week. However, that's going to be something huge because they're taking on the Titans, who lost to the Jets. They blew 2 games. They blew it against the Bears and they blew it against the Jets. I think the Packers could win this game, even though it's in Tennessee, Nissan Field. But I'm thinking the Packers are going to take this victory over the Titans, because the Titans can't hold on to leads. They blew the game against the Bears in week 1, and they blew the game against the Jets week 2, so it just makes sense. Packers will beat the Titans 29-10. The Packers will be 2-1. The Titans will be 0-3. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 1-1 Bears and the 0-2 Colts. This is going to be a pretty good game. The Bears are here after losing that game against the Texans, and people are making a big deal out of Caleb Williams not being that great of a quarterback. Look, it's only his first 2 games already. And, you got that win over the Titans week 1, mainly because of that Bear defense was insane. However, they're going to be in Indianapolis against the 0-2 Colts with Anthony Richardson. Richardson has been having 2 hard games because they were taking on the Texans and week 1, and then they just lost to Green Bay week 2. And I thought they were going to win that game because Jordan Love was hurt, but Malik Willis is a pretty good quarterback. And I'm thinking that Indianapolis will finally get a win. They won't be winless anymore, so I think they're going to beat the Bears because they're in Indianapolis. Colts will beat the Bears 24-21. Colts will be 1-2. The Bears will also be 1-2. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got a pretty good game. We got the 2-0 Chargers and the 2-0 Steelers. Both teams are undefeated, and they're looking very good so far. The Chargers are here after completely just destroying the Panthers 26-3, and we'll get to them later. And the Steelers are here after winning against the Broncos 13-6. Justin Fields is starting, and he's doing a lot better than anyone expected. But to be honest, I'm thinking the Chargers are going to hold on to the win, mainly because Justin Herbert is doing great. The rookie, Ladd McConkey, is doing well. Jim Harbaugh is a great NFL coach. He was great with San Francisco, even though they lost to the Super Bowl about 11 years ago. Jesus. But anyway, I think the Chargers will keep on that great undefeated season, and they're going to beat the Steelers. It'll be a close game, though. Very short, but close game. Chargers will beat the Steelers 20-17. The Chargers will be 3-0. The Steelers will be 2-1. We're moving on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 1-1 Dolphins and the surprisingly somehow undefeated still, the 2-0 Seahawks. Dolphins are here after getting completely knocked out by Buffalo 31-10 on Thursday night. And Tua unfortunately suffered a 4th concussion, which may he be... I don't know, he's not retiring. That's what he said. He's probably not. But either way, I'm thinking Seattle's going to win because Seattle's been playing very good without Pete Carroll. Mike McDonald's doing an amazing job. Geno Smith looks really promising. He looks very good. And everyone else looks really good on Seattle. And the Dolphins also have injuries. So it just makes sense for me to go with Seattle on this one. Seahawks will beat the Dolphins 29-26. The Seahawks will be 3-0. The Dolphins will be 1-2. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 0-2 Panthers and the 1-1 Raiders. Panthers are here after losing completely to the Chargers 26-3. And actually, Bryce Young just got benched for Andy Dalton this game. Bryce Young is terrible. They completely ruined that quarterback. I feel bad for him. He's gonna probably be traded this mid-season to like a team that needs him. Like, I don't know, I wonder where he would go. But either way, that's not important now. However, Andy Dalton's starting, and they're going to be taking on the Raiders, who somehow came back and knocked out the Ravens 26-23. Gardner Minshew's first win as a Raider. But to be honest, I think the Raiders are going to get another win because they're in Vegas, so it just makes sense for me to go with them. Raiders will beat the Panthers 16-9. The Raiders will be 2-1. Panthers will be 0-3. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got an injury game between the 1-1 49ers and the 0-2 Rams. 49ers are here after losing to Minnesota, that close game, 23-17. Brock Purdy's actually 0-2 against the Vikings now. But anyway, the 49ers are in big trouble as well because Deebo Samuel could be missing a couple of weeks with a calf sprain injury. and which can knock them out for a couple weeks, which is really not good for the 49ers. First, Christian McCaffrey's gone, so now they're going to have to rely on Ayuk and George Kittle. That's not good for San Francisco. However, the Rams also have bad injuries, and Cooper Kupp may also be missing some of this season because he suffered a bad knee injury against the Cardinals. They lost that game 41-10. Marvin Harrison Jr. went completely bonkers last game against the Rams. They're a really good team, the Cardinals, but we're going to focus on the Cardinals next. But to be honest, I'm thinking that the 49ers are going to rebound and hopefully win over the Rams. 49ers will beat the Rams 25-13. The 49ers will be 1-2-1. The Rams will be 0-3. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 1-1 Lions and the 1-1 Cardinals. Battle of the 1-1s. The Lions are here after losing against the Buccaneers at home, which is completely embarrassing. That was completely terrible of Detroit. They were just not playing good that game. They were just making a lot of errors, making a lot of mistakes, trying to go down for fourth downs. It's just not looking good for them. However, they're in Arizona against the hot red Cardinals. Marvin Harrison Jr. looked great. I think he did better than his dad, to be honest. His dad actually was in the NFL. He was with the Colts. He did amazing against the Rams. Kyler Murray got a very good weapon. But to be honest, it's going to be a close game, though. But I'm thinking that Detroit is mad off this loss against the Buccaneers, and I think they're going to beat Arizona. Lions will beat the Cardinals 31-24. Lions will be 2-1. Cardinals will be 1-2. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 0-2 Ravens and the 1-1 Cowboys. Both teams are coming back from losses. The Ravens, they're here after blowing that game against the Raiders, losing that game 26-23. I thought they were going to win that game, but then all of a sudden they just blew it. However, they're going to be away in Dallas against the 1-1 Cowboys, who lost to the Saints of all teams, 44-19. The Saints are 2-0 now because of that, and the Cowboys didn't have Jake Ferguson because he suffered that bad knee injury against Cleveland week 1. But to be honest, I'm thinking Baltimore needs this win because if they don't, then they're in big trouble because they got Derrick Henry, and now they're 0-2 with Derrick Henry on the team. It's just not looking good, but I think they're going to probably make that correction. It's still early in the season, but I think the Ravens are going to win this one. Ravens will beat the Cowboys 19-10. Ravens will be 1-2. Cowboys will be 1-2. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game for Sunday Night Football, we got the undefeated 2-0 Chiefs and the 1-1 Falcons. The Chiefs are here after winning against the Bengals. Close game, 26-25. However, Isaiah Pacheco has suffered a fibula injury, which he could be missing up to 6 to 8 weeks. Apparently, he will not be returning until October 20th, which is a huge letdown for Kansas City. However, they got Xavier Worthy, the rookie, from the draft, so we're going to see how he turns out. He did very good against Baltimore week 1, and I think they could keep up, but it's going to be a close game, however, because it's in Atlanta, and the Falcons are here after edging off the Eagles 22-21. Kirk Cousins looks a bit better, but to be honest, I'm thinking the Chiefs are going to pull off a win here and beat Atlanta. Chiefs will beat the Falcons 24-21. The Chiefs will be 3-0. The Falcons will be 1-2. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game for Monday Night Football, we got 2 Monday Night Football games. We got the 0-2 Jaguars and the 2-0 Bills. Jaguars, oh my goodness, Jacksonville, they have been struggling this season. 0-2, off to a rocky start. First, you guys lose to Miami. Then you guys lose to the... who they lose? I forgot. The Browns, and now they're taking on the Bills at home now. Not home, away. They're in Monday Night Football, which is not good for them. I think Buffalo is going to win because the Bills have been playing great, and they're doing this without Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, actually, keep in mind. And I think Buffalo's doing great. Keenan Coleman's looking really good as a rookie. James Cook is looking really well. You know, despite what happened to Buffalo in the offseason, I think they're going to beat down Jacksonville for this game. Bills will beat the Jaguars 31-10. Bills will be 3-0. The Jaguars will be 0-3. Jaguars really need to wake up. Moving on with our next game. And last but not least for this week, we got my 1-1 Washington Commanders. Yeah, against the 0-2 Bengals. Commanders, they're here after winning against the Giants 21-18. 7 field goals. We didn't even score a touchdown. We scored 0 touchdowns. 0. They're going on to Cincinnati against the 0-2 Bengals, who lost that very close game, a heartbreaking game for Joe Burrow, to the Kansas City Chiefs, 26-25. And T. Higgins may finally be returning after suffering an injury, which is not good. However, I think the Bengals are going to take this win. They're going to finally get their first win of the season, and they're going to move forward and probably beat my Commanders, unfortunately. Bengals will beat the Commanders 26-13. The Bengals will be 1-2, and so will be the Commanders at 1-2. And that is it for this week, everybody. These are all my NFL picks for week 3. Tune in for next week for Anthony's NFL picks week 4, which will be premiering next Tuesday, September 24th, 2024. Other than that, this is Anthony signing off, and have a great week.